yes, it grows, but it sheds at a certain point. It like hits this point and sheds.
Yeah.
Like now we have to test. We have to do some science to see if it will break my shedding zone. See you in 3 months. Darling, hello and welcome to the Beauty Ritual Podcast. This is your dose of perfection correction, daily, weekly, monthly, whenever you need it. In a world that is ever about how you appear on the outside, we are here talking about beauty on the inside. I'm your host, Eva, and today my guest is the absolute genius, Cindy Kim, founder of Bliss Point Medical Spa in Larchmont.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's so long awaited. I'm actually very, very excited to talk to you because today we're going to get into some beauty philosophy, right? Because we are all about the science and the procedure and the aesthetic artistry, but a lot of times that directly clashes with the psychology and the experience of beauty as an individual and in the industry.
Yes, psychology has a lot to do with how people feel inside and what they want to do with how they look or how they appear. That's how I feel.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, we've had so many conversations, but something that interested me actually was we had a passing conversation about breakups.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, divorces and breakups.
Divorces and breakups, and how you immediately see this like motivation to do something.
Yes, because they have to start dating and seeing people, and they just want to take care of themselves.
Right. Right. And it's kind of interesting how there's that, you never really ask that question of like, well, what were you doing before?
Nothing.
Right.
Yes. A lot of people.
Why nothing?
So I would say I see a trend in like, I mean, women too, but men who are straight and they've never done anything, they've never done any beauty treatments, they don't know anything about it. They come in and they say they're divorced for, X amount of years, and they want to do something because they want to start dating and seeing people. And I see that they just want to like take care of themselves, but they don't know what to do. So they just come to me like, what should I do?
Right. Do you see them maintain that after they get into another relationship?
I think they do once you inform them and educate them about kind of the routine and why there needs to be maintenance. They're usually good at kind of maintaining that routine.
I totally see, I definitely have clients that have gone through like big divorces or breakups, huge change, and I see them go in to like better themselves and do things that they would never have imagined themselves doing. Like maybe they got a blepharoplasty, right? Maybe they come in and color their hair more regularly. Doesn't always have to be drastic, but sometimes it is for them. And a lot of times they are happy with what they did.
Of course.
Why, of course?
I think if you get like good aesthetic procedures or good plastic surgery, you just look better, and then you'll feel better about how you look in the mirror, and you'll feel more confident about yourself. And like when you walk out in the world, you're more confident like interacting with people.
Okay, so I agree. I totally agree. And I think it's hard to convince someone that doesn't believe that.
I think so. Like anything aesthetics means like it could be a beauty procedure, it could be plastic surgery, it could be working out and just kind of getting more fit. I think all that is in the same realm and category. So I mean, why do people work out, and why do they want to get fit? They just want to look good and feel good about themselves. Right.
And have better ease relating with people. Because when you're not self-conscious with whatever it is, it's not that you have to fit a certain beauty standard. You don't have to be some ideal, right? I definitely believe that. And I think if you feel like you have to meet a standard and be something that you're not, it will ultimately make you unhappy and have you chasing something that isn't for you.
Yeah.
But where it gets muddy for me is noticing the kind of judgments like people have around that. They have judgments about themselves doing it. They have judgments about other people doing it. And when it comes to interacting with us, like them bringing those questions to us, it's like you can never convince someone who believes that it's too vain to dye your hair that dyeing your hair is fine and neutral.
Yeah.
It's a neutral thing.
Yeah.
But they put so much emphasis on like, well, you know, only people who are obsessed with themselves are going to highlight their hair, right?
Yeah.
And it's like trying to get past that belief about beauty. You almost can't. You almost can't have a conversation with that person until they've had an experience that changes their mind because they're so set. Which leads me into this whole idea about beauty myths, which is when we grow up, we hear all of these different perceptions and beliefs about what's beautiful, what's supposed to be beautiful. And our interpretation of it as like a kid, a teenager, an adult, is constantly changing.
Yeah.
Right? But you can go through your whole life. Maybe someone in your family told you like dyeing your hair means that you're a selfish person that only cares about themselves. Right?
That's harsh.
It sounds harsh because I'm making a very simplistic example.
Yeah.
But we make these assumptions all the time.
That's so true. That's so true.
We go around looking at someone who's nicely dressed and be like, oh, well, she must be really stuck up because, you know, she cares so much about how she looks.
Or like she spent way too much time.
Right. Like I would never, because I'm easy, right? Like we have our judgments. I still have my judgments. But the thing is like, that's a beauty myth. Where did you get that from?
Exactly.
Did you hear it from somebody, right? Like we don't ask ourselves that question.
Yeah. Do you know who Nara Smith is?
Yes.
I think that's how people like perceive her, like because she makes things from scratch and like she's always made up and
Yes.
all these things, people have like perceptions about her.
Yes.
And a lot of people, majority love her, but there are people who are like, that's too much, like she can't be all glam all day long, and like why does she make everything from scratch,
Right.
and things like that. But you know, they don't know that like she deals with like eczema and like autoimmune disorders, and you know,
And she could just like to make teensy little pastas all day,
and
girl.
I envy that.
I don't know if, you know, I feel the same, but it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Like, it's beautiful that she can spend 4 hours on
Yeah.
those, like, gorgeous little gnocchis.
Yeah.
And I want to eat her food.
Yeah, exactly.
Please invite
But-
me over. You hear that? I will take any invitation to come over. Those meals look delicious.
Yes.
Thank you, Nara Smith.
Yes. Love Nara Smith.
But you're right. She gets projected on a lot. People project their beauty myths on her. Whatever thing that they, you know, might not have examined about what they think and believe about aesthetics gets thrown onto her because she is in the beauty industry. She's a model. She's stunning. Her family's stunning, and they create this artistry like on social media and in magazines, right? Like that's their artistry.
Yeah.
And I think most beauty professionals either learn that along the way that, wow, I have to deal with everybody's beauty myths about me, about themselves, and how do I create a neutral space to work with more and more people?
Yeah, that's a really difficult one because I think you can't satisfy everybody and everybody has different opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that neutral space I don't think can ever exist because people like, you know, what I do like in the aesthetic industry, like Botox fillers and lasers, and you're, you know, sometimes you're kind of changing the way you look, like, or enhancing, but some people are against that.
Yeah.
And you can't change the way they think.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's people who are like, I'm gonna let my whites grow. Like, I'm not gonna dye my hair.
Yeah.
But I'm a person who, I'm like, white hairs, I hate them.
Right.
I just want to dye it every month. So,
And you don't hate them on other people.
I don't.
It's a personal choice.
It's a personal choice. I just don't like it on me.
Right. So in a way, when you accept that I like this or I don't like this, and you don't extend it out to other people, that's a way of creating like neutral beauty mindset. And that is something that I think we can all work on constantly. Because we're gonna go through life always having to deal with our aesthetic.
Yes.
Every year we age, every decade we age, we're gonna have different feelings about it. But how do we develop a strong core, a strong beauty mindset that lets us allow for more neutral? Because it's, yes, it's like great to like have self-expression and all of that and to give yourself space for it, but it's actually better for the whole world when we create that neutrality and acceptance of where we are at and what we want to do.
That is so true. And I think there is an aspect of like people who are against it when they don't have the means to do it. Or they have opinions about it because I mean, I used to do that. I used to be like, oh, that girl got plastic surgery done. And that was the time when I couldn't afford it. But then when there came a time I could afford it, I did it, and then I was really happy with it.
Yeah.
So I think there's an aspect of like even hair costs money. Doing your nails costs money. Like taking care of yourself, beauty procedures. I think that's all very expensive and it's hard to keep up. But when people can't afford it and they don't have the means, they can be online and just talking about like, oh, they're doing way too much. They're so vain.
That's interesting. I think about that a lot because with social media, we get to hear so much feedback very quickly about what it feels like to spend in this particular field. And what is responsible spending in the beauty world is different for each person. And I really think it comes from, I mean, it's easier to talk about sex than money, let's be real.
Exactly.
Girl, I'm about to
But
just
it's
say
so
that.
necessary to talk about it because money is a touchy subject, but it is what kind of is important. Like when coming to like beauty treatments, it all costs money.
And it's an interesting, I'm gonna say interesting so that it's broad, investment. Because it's something that you're constantly gonna have to maintain.
Exactly.
And do you want to maintain it?
That's the most difficult part. Because even, our
Thinking
aesthetic
long-term.
procedures are so expensive that it's hard to maintain it if you don't have the means to do it.
Right.
It's like thousands of dollars of, like beauty treatments a year. Not everybody can access that and has means for that. So it's like they have to decide like what's important.
Yeah, there's so many tiers to think about this. It's what's important. Do I have the home skincare regimen? Do I have the want and the passion to really do it? Right?
Yeah.
Am I satisfied with it? How much of it is an experiment and how much of it is a solid return? You don't always know the answer to those questions. You have to constantly check in with yourself. Where am I at?
Exactly. And I think that's like you do have to be responsible because some people kind of go overboard and they take financing out and like they borrow money to do these aesthetic procedures, and I don't think that's very responsible.
Right.
And I don't advocate that.
Right.
I don't take things like care credit because I'm like, I don't believe in financing those beauty procedures to that extent. This is not a necessity.
It's not a necessity, and you are valuable. Like knowing you're valuable from the start. That it's not going to fill that part, like getting that done. Would you like it? Yeah. But it's not going to fill that part of you that should know you are inherently valuable. That's like step one, even if you have all the money in the world.
Yeah.
You've got to start there. If you are not happy with you, if you don't love you, getting anything done is not going to make you feel your own value.
That is correct.
You have to start there. And a lot of times people don't necessarily understand, like, hey, that's actually a component of beauty. Knowing my worth, knowing my value is step one. And I think what's great about an amazing, empathetic, and like heartfelt provider is like they know what they do is their job, but they also have a lot of compassion and understanding and honestly wisdom. Like one of my favorite things about talking with you and other amazing beauty professionals is like they've dealt so much with like people's inner self and like building them up and also like being there with them in moments where they're down, that they understand a lot of that. They have a lot of wisdom to impart, right?
Yeah.
But you still have to stand on your own 2 feet and like learn.
Exactly. So when I see patients that are not very happy with themselves already, they're not going to be happy with the things I do. So I tread very carefully, and sometimes I refuse to do the treatments on them until they're okay. Because sometimes it's more psychological than external. They're trying to fix something. I had like a 16-year-old who like DM'd me, and she was like, nobody's taking me for Botox, but I really have like these issues with marionette lines, and I don't even want to eat because I don't even want to see my marionette lines. And I'm like, that's psychological.
Sure.
I would never touch her.
Right.
Because that is psychological, and you can never make that person happy.
Right. Right. That's a space that I find, honestly, I know it's like, it sounds so deep and so like heartfelt and like intense to hear like a 16-year-old feel that way, right?
Yeah.
Like it kind of touches my heart. I feel kind of like, oh, I just want to like hug her,
Yeah.
right?
We want to help her, but not in that way.
Not in that way. And that's like the part that kind of like makes me excited to talk about inner beauty, in the sense of like, okay, your first thought was to go for this outside thing. Fine. That's totally human and normal, and I will never say like it's a bad thing, but like let's pause and like as a collective, as a like all of us beauty professionals, like what else actually can we develop and like refer people to? Something like meditation.
Yeah.
Right? And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Because you can still come back to me. I can still work with you and we can create some beautiful artistry together.
Yeah.
But like, I would love to include inner work, inner beauty as like part of our beauty industry.
Exactly. Like I wish I can be very open with some clients and just be like, hey, like not in a mean way or an offensive way, but like, why don't you go see a psychiatrist first and work on yourself first and then come to me? Because this is not an issue of like trying to look better.
Right. I think that if beauty professionals started talking more about inner beauty, we wouldn't even have to like be that blunt.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds like idealistic in a sense, but if people understood how your inner self interlocks with your outer aesthetic self, it wouldn't be so taboo.
Yeah.
Because you feel stuck because it's so taboo to like talk about the inner world with the outer world.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel that way too. And luckily, the more I've sort of understood like, oh, that's a beauty myth. Doesn't mean there's like anything, you know, wrong with you.
Yeah.
But it's a beauty myth. Okay, I'm starting to kind of see like where I can fill in the blanks that Cosmo magazine left out, girl, talking about inner beauty, which is like, okay, how do we develop this like strong core so that we can enjoy beauty? So for me, I'm going to share a beauty myth. Okay, growing up, beauty myth number 1 was size. Like being small, teensy, like delicate honestly, Tinkerbell. Like, if you're not Tinkerbell, you're not beautiful.
Yeah.
And I full on believed it when I was like in middle school. Full on. There was no other truth. And like my poor mom, like I would cry to her about it. And she would be like, you know, talking like incessantly, like, no, you are beautiful. Like, it's beautiful to be who you are, right? And I couldn't hear it, right? I was like the girl that's like, you can't cover your grace, okay? Otherwise you're the worst, you know?
Yeah.
I couldn't hear her at all. And it took me living life, finding confidence in other things, right?
Yeah.
I was really into art. I was into artistry. I got into beauty, and that's where I actually started to build my confidence, was through my skills and through making other people feel amazing.
Yeah.
But I like couldn't hear what she was saying, that like to be who I am, like I was tall, I'm athletic, I'm strong, I'm like, you know, not a size 0.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I think that comes with life experience as well too.
Yes.
Like as you mature and grow as a human being and you're exposed to more things, you realize that there are more important things than the way you look or your size.
Yes.
Right? And of course, like childhood, like even like you said, you mentioned that, you know, size, you've thought that size matters. But I think for my parents, like my dad, he has fat phobia. So like whenever I gained weight, he would tell me, he's like, you're getting too big.
Yeah.
So then I lived with that. And so like even now, like when I gain a little bit of weight, I'm like, I'm too fat.
Right.
Yeah.
Because our beauty myths don't always go away.
But I think in my 20s, I felt more so like that. But then as I get older, you're a little more secure and you're like, I know myself.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not that bad.
You know yourself, and I think what's helpful in our case is like we see trend. We understand trends come and go.
Yeah.
And you have like a little bit more, I want to say spirituality, even though this is a conversation about beauty. So it's kind of, it feels taboo to me to say spirituality, but like that sense of like, wow, there's so many things that are bigger than me.
Yeah.
Right? And I love beauty. Like, girl, I would not be in this business if I didn't love everything about it.
Yes.
It totally excites me, and I'm inspired. With that, the sense of like, oh, I'm kind of like this small, wonderful human on this planet. There's like a wholeness that comes in where I can actually enjoy what I do much more, because I'm not a victim to like trends and to the myths that I grew up with about how I'm supposed to look and who I'm supposed to be as a woman. Right?
Yes.
I took you way far out into the waters, girl, bringing in the word spirituality. Let's go back to talking about money. No, I'm kidding.
Let's talk about money.
It's much safer than God. No, I'm kidding. I'm not saying God. I'm not saying God. Okay?
Exactly.
So in that like conversation that we're kind of fleshing out here, right? The cheeks get flushed. We're feeling a little hot under the collar talking about it. You know? Oh, I need to be powdered. I'm sweating. If you made it more fun, right? The idea of like, oof, I have this inner self that I want to dress up. What would it look like for you to like find beauty through happiness? With all the tools that you have, with the job that you do, right? Like, what does it look like to find beauty through happiness and use your artistry in like Botox and filler and like lasers?
I feel like you have to be good with yourself inside in order for you to even be happy with these treatments. So I think just being secure and confident and happy. So I think you have to work on yourself, like your inner self, before you do anything beauty related. Don't you agree?
I agree so much. I agree so much. I think as we slow down, we sort of realize, oh, that's a little bit of the ABCs. It's going to change the way that we relate to it, right? But we have to have that pause first. And that's literally what this whole conversation is about. We're creating a pause in between. My immediate reaction is to go get something done. My immediate reaction is to bleach my hair blonde after I go through a breakup, right? Nothing wrong with bleaching your hair blonde. I'm ready. But, okay, let me take myself in for a second. Let me just pause. Let me close my eyes. Let me be like, okay, that's how I feel. I just want to change everything about me right now. I want to be a new girl. I want to be a new person, right? I want to be platinum. That's fine. But I'm still going to have to feel my feelings, right? You feel your feelings.
All the time.
All the time. And you can still do the thing, right?
Yes.
It's like taking a pause to like feel yourself, your heart, and interacting with it. I think that's very new. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
It's like a new way of approaching beauty.
Yeah, interacting with yourself.
Yeah, like feeling your feelings first. Taking a pause and realizing like, okay, when I close my eyes, I'm in my inner system, and that is my inner beauty. Open my eyes, I have some beauty mindset because I can feel what I'm feeling and then interact with the science and the artistry that's out here.
Exactly.
Right? That's going to stop you from writing some bad Yelp reviews. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Hunty? I said it. And I mean it.
I know who you guys are.
It got so gangster so quick though. I love it. I actually love it. It's tea, okay? It's tea.
It's petty. It's petty.
I mean, but it's heartfelt pettiness.
Yes.
Okay? Because we have to. We have to defend the fort.
Yes.
Okay. So I want to know this. What do you think makes a good provider in the beauty industry?
A good provider, I think you have to be trustworthy and you have to be out in the best interest of your patients. So just recommending what you think and what they think. You have to meet in the middle ground because sometimes they come with thinking like they know what they want, but that's not the right procedure for them. It's going to hurt them more over time, than benefiting them. So just kind of listening to them, their needs, where they are in life, and why they're doing these procedures. I think you really have to understand, like, why are they doing these procedures? What do they want out of this?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Some people are getting married, they want to look good for their wedding. Sometimes it's more anti-aging. Sometimes they get out of divorce and they want to look and feel better about themselves because they want to go out in the dating scene. There's younger patients that think that sometimes like Botox is preventative. Sometimes I have to send them away because I'm like, Botox is not preventative when you don't have wrinkles. Come back when you have a little bit of wrinkles.
Oh my god. Oh my god. The cat's out of the bag.
I mean, there's girls who don't have a wrinkle on their face and they're like, oh, my friends are doing preventative Botox. And I'm like, no, you don't need preventative Botox.
Right.
There's nothing to prevent.
This is 12-year-olds using retinol. Why are you doing that?
It's not very age appropriate yet. Like you have nothing on your face.
Why are you
to
doing?
fix.
Who
Yeah.
told you to do that?
Yeah. It's like you don't need radio frequency laser treatments, like unless you have like acne scarring and things like that.
Right.
Yeah. If you don't have anything to prevent, like there's no preventative measure that you need.
No. Someone help these children.
Yes.
Okay, a good provider helps these children.
Yes.
Okay? Step number 1.
Knowing when to turn them away.
A powerful no. Like almost like a compassionate no.
Yeah, like for example, let's say any kind of patient, they already have lip filler, they have too much lip filler, and then they're coming in wanting more lip filler. they already have a lot of migration, I'm gonna be like, no, we don't need more lip filler.
A lot of providers sometimes, and I talk to a lot of people in the industry, and they say, well, if I don't do it, someone else is going to do it.
Then I would let the other person do it, not me.
Right.
Because I have to put my name on that work, and I don't want them walking around with like lip filler migration, and it's like, that's not my work. I'm doing it on top of somebody else's not very good work.
Right. And the more people that learn, hey, I can say no, I can say no kindly out of like a good place, the better off it is for the people who are interacting with us.
And I think a lot of people are open to dissolving now, dissolving lips, because they have a lot of migration. So I've been dissolving a lot of lips lately.
Really?
Yes. I'm like, you have a lot of migration. It's like a mustache right here.
Oh God, Sharknado. I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for that. Okay, so this question is inspired by a lot of nostalgia I've had thinking about beauty school. Because when I went to beauty school, I went to school with people who were like punk rockers, wild mohawks, people who were trans, people who were like gothic and wild, pretty, perfect, prim, preppy girls, right? It was like a mix of every aesthetic culture I could possibly get my hands on. And I loved it because I think the beauty girls are like the cool girl club, honestly. I just see all of the cool girls together, like getting along because we're all after the same thing. We're all about making everybody look their best. And I'm not saying there wasn't drama and tea. It was lit in beauty school. I loved it. But I also felt really united, and I felt like there was an amazing like bond because everybody was after the same thing, and we were all so different from each other. So my question is, what makes you feel united with other beauty professionals? People, manicurists, estheticians, hairstylists, other injectors, plastic surgeons.
I just think we understand each other, and like, I don't think we do different things like hair and nails and things like that, but we get the same type of clients. So we get a mix of different types of clients, and then I think we understand our like stresses. I feel like, don't you think? Like when
That's
you
an interesting take.
Yeah, when like I can talk to you about like clients, like like have you had like a negative experience with a client?
Right.
Like, you know, how did you deal with it?
Right.
Things like
How
that.
was this person's beauty myth, you know, for you?
Or sometimes you can never make someone happy.
Right. Right. That one actually trips me out a lot because I think that most people in the beauty industry, you really want to make that person happy and feel good.
I think you always do. Like, I always strive to make my patients happy.
Yeah.
And when I'm not able to, it's like, I think at first I put it on myself, and I used to a lot.
Yes.
But I started understanding people's psychology more as I dealt with more and more patients. And, you know, a lot of times I'm like, this is not my issue.
Yeah.
This is, I think, what they're internally feeling inside.
That's a place that you don't immediately go to because your first step, I want to make someone happy. You're not immediately going, oh, this person has an issue, like that's on them, right? You're really sitting with it, and you're taking it in like, whoa, oh my God.
Yeah.
What can I do? And when you finally get to that place of, okay, this is like someone who's not in touch with their inner system.
Yeah.
And they don't feel whole.
Yeah.
And then they're coming to me with that.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't do anything but lovingly be like, we're not a match.
Exactly.
Like you and me, we're just not a match. And maybe someone else is.
Have you turned away a client?
Yes. Yes.
And how did you tell them?
You know, I actually got advice from a doctor friend of mine, and you know how they say doctors don't have the best bedside manner?
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe they don't. They gave me a firm way of saying, like, I just don't think we're the right fit for each other. Right? And I still respect this doctor friend of mine. I think he is brilliant, and it was the right thing to do, and he gave me the strength to do it. But I always think you can be kinder about it and find better ways to do it. Because it's not that, again, this person is wrong and that I'm right, or anything of the sort. But if your whole value stands on being beautiful, then your haircut or your hair color becomes life or death.
Yeah.
Because I could take away all of your value by just giving you a different look. Not that there's anything wrong with you ever, that you're ugly or bad, right? Like, it's not that weighted. A haircut is not that weighted. So I have turned away relationships that I didn't feel like I could truly fulfill that need of making someone feel like they were more than just how they looked.
Do you think it's more people like working in entertainment?
No. I think it's all different kinds of people. I think that in entertainment, it's easy to have that psychology, even if you're not a person who would normally feel that way, because it's all about artistry with appearance. But if you grew up in a culture with a specific set of beauty myths, that are all about how you look, especially honestly as a woman, I just have to be honest. Men too, absolutely. But you know, if you were always the beautiful girl and that's all you got told, it's like, you're so beautiful, you're so beautiful, you're so beautiful. Never you were smart.
Yeah.
Never you were creative and artistic and confident and motivated, athletic, like nothing. What are you going to think? If you were 2 years old all the way up till you're 18, you got nothing else? I don't blame you if you really didn't understand that you can be valuable for something else.
And I think, you know, a lot of girls believe in like pretty privilege. And
Oof, girl, we're going to talk about pretty privilege though. We had to do it. I'm not ready. I'm shaky.
And I can't deny that does exist. I mean, we're in LA. Pretty privilege does exist.
Capital of vanity. We are the capital of vanity. That's why I moved here to go to beauty school. People ask me, why not go in Grand Rapids, Michigan? Because I'm going to go to the capital of vanity.
Yes.
I was right.
What are your thoughts on pretty privilege?
I mean, I want to go home right now. I want to tuck myself into a sleeping bag, and I would like a chamomile tea. I think it's real. I think you can forget that you have it. And it's not always helpful to even talk about it as pretty privilege. Because there's so many varieties of pretty and charm that when you just say pretty privilege, you're basically validating that there's one beauty standard.
Yeah.
And if you like to watch movies, I'm a huge movie watcher. I love actors and actresses. I get inspired. I know that there's so many other reasons someone can be attractive without being Barbie. So someone like Emma Stone, I think she is gorgeous. I have told a client before, like, you look like Emma Stone, and offended the hell out of her. I did. But to me,
she's so pretty.
She's stunning. To this person, she wasn't, right? I think she's unique. I think she can wear any hair color, and I'm jealous. Girl, everything, blonde, red, black. And I don't think that she is like the Barbie character.
Yeah.
But if you don't look at pretty and beautiful as like characteristics, and it's only this singular image, then you can't see it. So pretty privilege to me actually helps you lock in my opinion, it helps you lock in even further to there's only one version. It only looks like this. So I get a little bit like touchy about using it because my mission in life is that people can start to see that there's so many varieties of attractive, and I think it exists.
Yeah, I think it totally exists.
It does.
Like for instance, like I sometimes, like, you know, I'll wear no makeup and I'll look homeless, and I have to open my own door. I have to open my own door. And then when I have makeup on and like I'm wearing a dress and everything, like a guy would just like stop and just open the door for me.
Yeah.
And that is pretty privilege.
Okay, so I have a client, we have this inside joke and we call it the point system. And she'll be like, I got a spray tan, I went up 5 points. You know? Like, I'll go to the pharmacy, they give me a water bottle and a seat, they like
you
open
get
the
free
door.
Stuff.
Yeah.
If when you go to clubs, you'll be in front of the line and you don't have to be in line. Or
she doesn't have a spray tan, they like slam the pharmacy door in her face.
And that's what happens, and that's what conditions you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So.
Because we're pack animals. We want to be accepted by the people around us.
Yeah.
We want to be loved, right? But we can't put so much weight into this concept of pretty privilege that we lose our sense of I'm already freaking lovable.
I'll just open my own door.
You hear that? You're gonna have to start working out so you can lift heavy things.
If you're like struggling and you're pretty, the guy would be like, hey, let me carry that stuff for you.
But if not, girl, if you don't want to wear makeup,
you have to carry your own
what I'm trying
stuff.
to say is you better start lifting weights. No, in all
And that
seriousness,
stuff exists. That stuff exists.
In all seriousness, it does exist. And so does the opposite.
Yes.
And what we need to start bringing awareness to is that there are also really magical, beautiful things outside of our concept of pretty privilege. What are they? I don't even have an example for you right now. I'm trying to...
We have more examples of pretty privilege.
No, listen. I'm a grandma's girl, okay? My grandma passed away last year, and she was 88. And to me, she was the most beautiful woman her whole life. It didn't matter that she was wrinkled. She had these vibrant blue eyes. She still had these incredible cheekbones that she gave to me. Thank you so much. And that was like a moment that I could always transcend that concept of like pretty privilege. It's only about, you know, because she was so beautiful. Like who she was in her soul up until she passed away, like a beautiful person. And it was something everyone always noticed in my family, like my friends that would come and eat. She loved to cook for people. It was her passion, her way of showing love. And even my mom, she was like, you know, she was talking to me about like, you know, trying Botox, this and that. And she's like, do you ever remember like how beautiful your grandma was? And I was like, all the freaking time. And those are the moments that we need to start noticing to balance it out.
Yes.
But still look cute, okay? I'm not letting you off the hook. If you come in here, you better be leaving with a blow dry.
And some Botox.
You know? It takes 2 to tango, it takes 3 to make you perfect.
That's why I look at Audrey Hepburn, and she was so beautiful, and as she aged, I don't think she was doing any aesthetic treatments. You know, she had all the wrinkles, but like how she lived her life, it's so respectable. She volunteered a lot, and she, you know, was a humanitarian, and you could see that in her face, and I think that's so beautiful, and that's something to like look up to, right?
Yeah.
And
And that's something I will say about your artistry, is I feel that your choices about aesthetic, you're always trying to let that part of people shine the most.
yes.
And that's why you make the choices you do, and that's why I think you're an absolute genius.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming
I
on.
always try to like make people look like themselves,
Yeah,
but just enhancing their features, nothing else.
it's wonderful. I appreciate it.
Yes.
So much. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
It's my absolute pleasure. I'm reserving the right to have you on again. I don't know what we'll talk about, but it'll be tea. It'll be tea, honey. So thank you for listening to this episode of the Beauty Ritual podcast, your place to build a beauty mindset, okay? For our sake, not even for yours. I'm just kidding. Are you gonna cut that, Nick? No, he's shaking his head. Great. We will see you next time. And if you want to follow Cindy Kim and her amazing work, which you absolutely should, you absolutely have to. Where can we find you?
Bliss Point Larchmont on Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah, come to Larchmont, grab a cookie, and see my lovely girl.
Laverne is right next door.
That's right. Thank you again. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.